The Formula One circus never stops, and off the track, the action is hotter than the Singapore asphalt. Lewis Hamilton is still hunting for his first podium with Ferrari, and some unexpected help from Fernando Alonso might explain why. Over at McLaren, the title fight has heated up, but a shocking behind-the-scenes decision could change everything. And while Alpine tries to dig itself out of a financial hole, a heavyweight name might be returning to the paddock through Aston Martin's front door. Welcome everyone to Formula News USA. This is a brand new channel dedicated exclusively to Formula One for fans right here in the United States. We'll be covering everything: the behind-the-scenes drama, full coverage of the entire season, and the rich history of the sport. And you can count on us to bring you all of it with independence and impartiality. Now, with that said, let's break it all down. The 2025 season has been a roller coaster for Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari. Expectations were sky high, but reality has been a cold shower for the Tifosi. The seven-time champion has yet to stand on the podium in red, and with every race, the anxiety grows. In Singapore, a historically challenging track, Hamilton expressed a somewhat desperate wish for rain. For him, unpredictable conditions could shuffle the grid and create an opportunity. Since Ferrari's focus is entirely on next year's car and there are no significant upgrades for the SF25. He said it himself, "I would give anything for an upgrade, but obviously we don't have that." This just shows the scale of the challenge. Qualifying, he says, will be everything, unless the weather decides to lend a hand. But why is a driver of Hamilton's caliber, with 7 titles under his belt, facing so much difficulty? The answer may lie in a crucial technical detail: the brakes. During his 12 years at Mercedes, Hamilton got used to Carbon Industries brake materials. At Ferrari, it's a different game. The Scuderia has a historic partnership with Brembo, and the difference in material and response is massive. Hamilton himself admitted he's still not 100% confident to attack the braking zones aggressively, describing the car as quite snappy. And that makes you wonder, what does this actually mean in practice? It means a driver's main weapon, the confidence to push the car to its absolute limit, is compromised. Without that confidence on corner entry, the rest of the lap suffers. And to add more fuel to this fire, an unexpected ally has emerged for Hamilton: Fernando Alonso. The Spaniard, who had a historic rivalry with Lewis back in 2007 at McLaren, has come forward to say he completely understands what the Brit is going through. Alonso recalled his own adaptation struggles that year. He was coming off championships with Renault, used to Hitco brakes, and struggled to adapt to the Carbon Industries brakes at McLaren. The situation was so critical that the team switched the brakes on Alonso's car mid-season to help him. Alonso went even further, calling that 2007 McLaren an anti-Fernando car, pointing out that the Bridgestone tires of that era, used in GP2, gave an initial advantage to Hamilton, who was coming up from the feeder series. This historical perspective is fascinating because it shows that even the greatest drivers in history aren't immune to these adaptation challenges. What Hamilton is experiencing today at Ferrari, Alonso experienced firsthand almost 2 decades ago. The big question is, how much longer will it take for Hamilton to tame the beast from Maranello? Analyzing these details, which go far beyond what the official broadcast shows, is what makes the difference in truly understanding Formula One. And that's exactly what we aim to do here at Formula News USA. To keep bringing you this in-depth analysis, connecting the present with the past to give you a complete view of the sport, your support is essential. If you're enjoying this conversation, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell. That way you won't miss a thing and you'll help us grow. And speaking of growing, comment below and let us know what city you're watching from. It's really important for us to see how far our content is reaching. And of course, it signals to YouTube that you're engaged, which helps our work get recommended to more speed fanatics. Now, let's shift focus from Ferrari to the team setting the pace in the championship, McLaren. But don't be mistaken, being at the top doesn't mean it's peaceful. On the contrary, the pressure is even greater, and a controversial suggestion from Gunther Steiner has sparked a debate that could define the championship's future. Do you think McLaren should sacrifice one of its drivers to secure the title? The discussion is complex. With Max Verstappen and his Red Bull back in form, winning the last 2 races and closing the gap to the leader, Oscar Piastri, Steiner dropped a bombshell. He believes McLaren should abandon its policy of equality and focus on a single driver to hold off the 4-time champion's advance. In his words, maybe they should have done that a little bit earlier, adding that he wouldn't lose a world championship just to be fair. It's a pragmatic mentality, typical of someone who's been in charge of a team. However, this view isn't unanimous, and for good reason. The gap between Piastri and Lando Norris is only 25 points. Prioritizing one of them now would not only be premature, but also a devastating blow to the other driver's morale. Journalist Ian Parks from Racing News 365 put it bluntly, not a cat in hell's chance of that happening. He proposes a hypothetical scenario. If Verstappen wins in Singapore, with Norris second and Piastri third, the gap between the 2 McLaren drivers would shrink to 22 points, while Piastri's lead over Verstappen would decrease. How could team boss Andrea Stella justify telling Norris he needs to give up his chances? It would be an impossible decision to defend. McLaren's strength so far has been precisely the performance of both its drivers and the car's superiority at various tracks. The team needs to keep believing in that and let their drivers race freely. Imposing team orders now could create an internal war that in the end would only benefit Red Bull. And if the situation in the main team is already tense, behind the scenes in the driver development program, things just blew up. McLaren announced, shockingly and with immediate effect, the end of its contract with young driver Alex Dunn. And why is this so surprising? Because Dunn isn't just any driver. He joined McLaren's junior program last year and, in his rookie season in Formula 2, has already racked up 2 wins, 2 poles, and 7 podiums. He even participated in F1 free practice sessions, impressing everyone. So, what happened? The official line is a misalignment on the future direction of his career. In practice, that means one thing: there was no room for him in the main team. With Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri on long-term contracts and battling for a title, the F1 door at McLaren was shut for Dunn for the foreseeable future. For a talented 19-year-old in a hurry to get to the top, waiting is not an option. And this is where the F1 chessboard moves. All signs point to Dunn's most likely destination being Red Bull. Yes, Helmut Marko, the man in charge of Red Bull's young driver program, seems to have a keen interest in the Irishman, and it makes perfect sense. Unlike McLaren, the Red Bull universe has more doors, with Racing Bulls serving as a B team. There's a real possibility of seats opening up in 2026. Dunn's abrupt departure from McLaren suggests that negotiations are already at an advanced stage, and it wouldn't be surprising to see him in free practice sessions with Racing Bulls before the year is out. This story is a clear example of how F1's cruel pipeline works. Talent is essential, but timing and opportunity are everything. Dunn made a bold bet, trading the security of a top-tier program for a real shot at a seat on the grid. Will the gamble pay off? Only time will tell. Leaving the title fight and the drama of young drivers behind, we now dive into the reality of a team stuck in a permanent state of rebuilding: Alpine. If the pressure at McLaren is to win, at Enstone the fight is to find a direction, and the latest financial reports paint a picture that is, to say the least, worrying. The team revealed a loss of £14.6 million in 2024, a sharp drop of £22.4 million compared to the profit they had recorded the previous year. But what do these numbers really mean for the team's future? Let's analyze it. The explanation for this financial tumble is directly linked to on-track performance in a vicious cycle that haunts midfield teams. Formula One prize money is paid a year in arrears. This means that in 2024, Alpine received money based on its 6th-place finish in 2023. The year before, they had received prize money for their 4th-place finish in 2022, a much more generous slice of the pie. This drop in revenue, combined with rising costs, created the deficit. The so what of this story is the danger it represents for the future. With an even worse performance this season, next year's prize money will be even lower. And to complicate things, the arrival of Cadillac in 2026 will split the prize fund among 11 teams instead of 10. Less money means less investment in the car, which can lead to even worse performance. It's a negative spiral that's hard to break. Faced with this scenario, Alpine is undergoing a radical transformation. The most impactful decision was to abandon the development of their own Renault engines for 2026, becoming a Mercedes customer team. In practice, this is a downgrade in status. They go from being a works team to just another customer. Figures like Steve Nielsen, an F1 veteran, and the controversial Flavio Briatore have been brought in to try to get the house in order. Nielsen was very honest in his assessment. The product we've put on the track doesn't reflect the effort of the people and the facilities we have. It's an admission that despite having the structure, something fundamental is failing in the execution. Alpine has become a team with a glorious past, but a confusing present and an uncertain future. And this confusion is directly reflected in the driver situation. On one side, we have Pierre Gasly, who has scored all 20 of the team's points this year and renewed his contract, providing a minimum of stability. On the other side, Franco Colapinto's seat is on fire. The Argentine was brought in to replace Jack Doohan, but has so far failed to deliver the expected results and has yet to score a point. The irony is that Flavio Briatore, the new boss, was the main proponent of signing Colapinto. Now, the same Briatore has been publicly expressing his dissatisfaction with the driver's performance. In a recent interview, Colapinto defended Briatore's hard approach, saying it made him mentally stronger. It's a curious statement for someone fighting for their future in F1. Is it a way of showing resilience or just the only possible attitude to try and please the boss? The fact is, Briatore has already made it clear. The 2026 seat will be a contest between Colapinto and reserve driver Paul Aron. The pressure on the Argentine is immense, and every race is a final exam to prove he deserves to stay on the grid. Alpine is a powder keg, and at any moment, more heads could roll. And while Alpine is searching for leadership to bring results, rumors are swirling through the rest of the paddock about the return of one of the most successful and controversial team principals in recent history. We're talking about Christian Horner. Since his departure from Red Bull, Horner's name has been circulating behind the scenes, and the destination gaining more traction by the day is Aston Martin. The most intriguing part? The team itself refuses to deny the possibility. In a recent interview, Aston Martin's boss Andy Cowell had every chance to put an end to the speculation, but opted for diplomatic answers that only threw more fuel on the fire. He said, "Christian's record speaks for itself. He's a great competitor. I guess it's down to Christian to work out what he wants to do." This lack of a direct denial in the world of Formula One is almost a confirmation that yes, talks are happening. But why would Aston Martin, which already has a robust leadership structure, consider bringing in Horner? The answer has a first and last name: Lawrence Stroll. The team owner is known for his immense ambition, his impatience, and his method of buying his way to success by bringing in the biggest talents on the market. The arrival of Adrian Newey was the first major move. Bringing in Christian Horner would be the final piece of this power puzzle. However, the story is more complex. Rumors indicate that Horner's arrival wouldn't just be for a management role, but would involve an investment, a buy-in to the team from Horner and his financial backers. Stroll is looking for investors for the new 2026 era, and Horner could be the gateway to that capital. The so what of this story is the explosive potential this union carries. And the epicenter of the earthquake would undoubtedly be the presence of Adrian Newey. It's public knowledge that the deteriorating relationship between Newey and Horner was one of the main reasons the legendary designer left Red Bull. The idea of having them both under the same roof again seems like a recipe for disaster. Would Newey, who now has a position of power and control at Aston Martin, agree to work with his old adversary again? More importantly, would Lawrence Stroll be willing to risk the genius of his designer to have Horner's firm hand at the helm? It's a high-stakes gamble. The potential arrival of Horner at Aston Martin isn't just a game of musical chairs. It's a chess match that could redefine the balance of power in Formula One and create one of the most talented and potentially most conflicted leadership duos the sport has ever seen. And so, what we see is that Formula One goes far beyond the battles on the track. We have Hamilton fighting the physics of his car and getting support from an old rival. McLaren managing the pressure of the lead and a bombshell in the driver market, Alpine mired in a crisis that seems to have no end, and Aston Martin contemplating a move that could be either brilliant or catastrophic. The paddock is a cauldron of egos, strategies, and big money where every decision can change a team's destiny. Which of these stories surprised you the most? Hamilton's struggle, Dunn's exit, the crisis at Alpine, or the potential return of Horner? Leave your opinion in the comments below. We want to know what you think about all of it. And if you enjoyed this complete analysis that takes you behind the scenes of F1, don't forget to smash that hyper button. It's like a super like and shows YouTube that our content is high quality, helping us reach more fans of the sport. Leave a like, subscribe to Formula News USA, and share this with a friend who can't miss a thing from the world of racing. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.